And now sports with Chris Dewar from the Little Jess Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Sports Desk.
Brad Hoyt has seen what success looks like, being on the doorstep of a college basketball national championship just 10 years ago. And now he looks to bring that success to a new job and a new group of players. As Hoyt's tenure begins with Quincy University men's hoops, he broke down his process with us this week.
I don't want him to break down.
I think some of it's the unknown that I don't know, and that's just the individual part of me. And I think as coaches, we get ourselves in the routine of what we know. And I've been in a place that I kind of feel like I knew the ins and the outs and the ebb and the flow and the pace. I had really good advice my first day here. Somebody came by the office and said, you got to find your pace. And I think we found our pace, but I think there's unknown roadblocks coming ahead. That's probably what worries me the most. But I think our experience, and I think the guys that we have here and the personalities that we have, I think we'll be pretty comfortable figuring out those roadblocks as they come. It's gone really well. I think it's a testament to our guys. I think our guys have done the absolute best job that they can do to try to learn new, right? Like it's all new for all of us. So everything from the hours we spend during the week to what we're doing during the day. So we've made a lot of progress the last 6 or 7 weeks. We got a long way to go with all the different moving parts, but it's a testament to these guys that I feel like we're moving the needle a little bit. I feel like we've got a pretty good sense of where our ceiling can be, so I think we've established that, and I'm very confident this group can get to their ceiling. And we got a long ways to go. We got a ton of respect for the process that we're about ready to go through, but I think we're starting to see our personality. I think we're starting to see our culture kind of bleed through what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And I think we're kind of seeing where the leadership is going to come from, and that's always a good sign for the 1st of October. Yeah, I think we're going to play with a little bit of a different pace than maybe what I anticipated sort of coming in. I think we've got some pretty dynamic guards that can kind of get from free throw line to free throw line. So I think our pace is probably going to be a little different than maybe what I had on paper walking into it. And then our physicality. I think the majority of our experience is coming back at the physicality places around the rim, and guys like Mason Wujek and guys like that have been in the fight a little bit. So our physicality is maybe a little ahead of where I thought it would be, and I think our pace over time is going to be at a place that's maybe a little different than what we thought coming in. I think it is different. I think the way we approached it, the time we have to approach it's very different. That's been one of the adjustments for me, is we just have a different amount of time with our guys. So yeah, I think the build's different. I think the league that we're playing in, the schedule that we have ahead of us, and that does not take anything away from the schedule that we've played against the last 15 years. I think it's different. So yeah, I think the build's different. I think the focus on the in-between practice time has to be different. We got to spend different time with these guys. But at the end of the day, basketball is basketball, and it's about, can you put the ball in the basket more than what the other team does, and that's what we're working on.
Let's stay with Quincy University and check out some soccer scores from today. The men's team made it wins in 2 of their last 3 after taking down Truman State 2-0 earlier. A couple of Quincy products stole the show, with QHS grad Gavin Higgins scoring first for the Hawks, and then just moments later it was freshman Leo Can who knocked in the second goal for QU. And on the women's side, they would fall to Truman State by a score of 3-0. Not a ton of offense in this one, as QU held Truman State to just 4 shots on goal, but the Hawks couldn't do much either on their end, and they drop a second straight. They're back in action against Southwest Baptist on Friday at home. And before we wrap up the weekend, let's take one more look at some of the dominant quarterback play we had this week, starting with the all-too-familiar Braden Little. You knew he'd be here. 378 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Blue Devils quarterback. Another crazy night for him. And we also had a huge night from Keokuk's Brenton Horde. You're going to see one of his touchdowns here, but guess what? He had 7 of them in the game, and that is the second most in a game in Iowa State history. And then last but not least, we had a record-setting game from West Hancock's Bryce Varner, going for 424 passing yards. That's the new high watermark in the school's history. All around a fantastic weekend for a couple of quarterbacks in the Tri-States. Make sure to join us tomorrow as we have another sensational 7. I can promise you a whole lot of football highlights on this weekend's list. Hey, we were fortunate enough to get some pretty stellar plays this past Friday. You'll want to check that out, and I'll see you then.